Hello crafters and welcome to this Crafts with Us session. I'm Michelle Brown, Creative Director from Picture to Page Beyond Papercraft Shows, which is our scrapbooking, mixed media art and paper crafting communities, and I'm so looking forward to crafting with you today. Now if you're going to craft along, I hope you've had a chance to get out all of your supplies, and if you're just sitting with a cup of tea or going to follow along later, that's fine as well. Now, if you're watching, make sure you pop a note in the comments so that I can see that you're there. And of course, make sure you give us a like and share us with your crafty friends. Now, if you do have any questions as we're going along, make sure you pop them into the comments as well, and I will do my very best to get to them and make sure we answer all of your questions. So the plan today is create a mini book with a cereal box. Now this came about because I've been doing quite a few articles for different parenting websites. And while we're at home in isolation, there's so many people looking for craft products that may not do craft normally or would like to do simple things with their friends. So what we're going to do today is come up with just the simplest way of making a book. Because if we think about what's involved in a book, it's really a couple of pages that are bound together. Now what you use this book for is completely up to you. You could use it as a little sketchbook, as a bit of a journal, as an art journal, or just something to pop some photos in and share with the kids, or perhaps share around with your crafty friends. We can get out and see them again. So there's lots of different things that we can do with this little journal, and there's lots of ways that we can make them, but today we're using a really simple one. So I hope you're ready to have a go at it. It's not too overwhelming. It's all quite a safe project for everyone to do, and just give it a go, okay? There's no expectations. There's nothing about getting it perfect or right or keeping up with the teacher. You know, all those things we have to really practice setting aside when we come into a craft space, which is always really hard, isn't it? Because sometimes we are so hard on ourselves. We always see our flaws. We always see the things that aren't quite right or wish that it was better or it doesn't quite match the picture in our minds. So we're going to set that aside today as we craft together. So let's get our stuff ready and we will get started. Okay, so this is what we're making today, is a lovely little book. So I'll go through this one when we're finished, but that's to give you an idea of what we're aiming for. So I'll set that over here. So our materials today, so we have a cereal box. Now I have a rather large one because I have teenage boys that eat a lot of cereal, but if you've only got a smaller one or a piece of card, whatever you've got is fine. We've got one single piece of A4 paper. We've got some scissors, just paper and pencil if we need it. We've got some twine. You could also use a ribbon, any sort of string, embroidery thread, anything that you might have to hold it together. And then just a normal standard 2-hole office punch. So that's what we need. Okay, so to get ourselves started, let's move all this aside. So the first thing I'm going to do is make our pages. So taking our piece of A4 paper, or if you're watching from elsewhere, letter size is okay as well. And what we're going to do first is fold it in half. And then we need to tear it into 2 pieces. So you can either tear it with a ruler, you can cut it with your scissors. If you feel like it needs to be neat and tidy, you can cut it with your craft cutter. I actually don't mind having little edges on it, so I'm more than happy to tear it into 2 pieces. So our first step, A4 page, 2 pieces. And it's good to see everyone popping it there in the comments. It's so good to have you here today. I hope the sun's out where you are. It was here. Now it seems to have gone again. Okay, so first step, 1 A4 page into 2 pieces. Second step, take one of those sides, fold it in half again. And then we're going to tear that or cut that into 2 pieces as well. So there we go. And then we're going to do the same with the other sheet. Fold in half. Now this is probably about a 90-100 GSM paper, so a little bit thicker than normal office paper. But again, if you've just got straight printer paper, that's fine. You could also do something similar with ephemera. We made junk journals a week or so ago, so you could do something similar with that. Okay, so now we have our 4 pieces of paper. Now what we're going to do is fold each of those in half as well. And then we can see we're then getting close to our final book size. So this must be what size? We had A4, then we had A5, then we've got A6, so about an A7. We're folding it down to A7. So fold all those 4 in half. And I just love bookmaking because I think it really takes the pressure off, using a bought journal, because we're not worried about ruining it. They're easy to make. We can turn them into all sorts of things. And if you want to do more mixed media or add more layers, then you can just use watercolor paper or more high quality paper. Okay, so our A4 sheet is now into 4 pieces. What we want to do now is nest them. So bring that one inside that one, inside that one, and inside that one. And there we have our first, what's known in bookmaking terms, called a signature. And this book is only just going to have one signature in it. But we can see from one A4 page, we've then got 4 pieces, but it gives us lots of pages. Okay, so line that up. What we're going to do next is take our hole punch. Now this is a little bit tricky, so make sure fingers are clear. And what we're going to do is just punch partially through. Now the problem, of course, is that what we really want is to put holes in, but if you've got a crocodile, you could easily reach in and punch holes. But when we don't have a hole punch with extended reach, an office one will do. But what we want to do is turn it sideways, and you can just see, can we see there? You can just see where the hole punch comes down. We can see it on the other side. So what we want to do, oh, this is real 3D. So we're trying to line it up this way as much as possible, but then we want to line it up this way as well. So we just punch half a hole. So I find, can you see that? If we can just get it there, usually one edge leads. So I'm just making sure we're half a hole. Again, checking here that it's about center. Half a hole. And look, if you punch more than half a hole, that's okay too. This is just a practice one, remember? It's one piece of A4 paper. So punching it through, moment of reveal, there we go. So we punched holes. So yeah, maybe that one's a little bit further than I would have liked, but that's okay. This one's pretty good. We've got half a hole. And we've punched that through all the 4 pages at once. So we've punched that through. Okay. Hopefully everyone's going okay with that step. So that's the tricky part. So now we have our signature ready to go. So what we're going to do next is grab our cereal box. Now if you've just got a piece of card, you can fold that in half. But what I'm going to do is use this to our advantage because we've already got a natural fold in it. So what I'm going to do is actually use that as my spine. So I'm going to line up my book here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a margin around it. Now, I think the first time I did it, I just cut it. We might try to do it a little bit more accurately since we've got people over and watching and everything. So to there. So just a little bit of a border so the pages will sit inside and there. Okay, so don't worry about that flap just yet, as long as that's... Now, if you've only got a smaller piece, then you can either use this full flap or you can trim your pages, lots of different options. So now scissors, cereal box. Again, if you want it to look really neat and tidy, you can use a trimmer or a blade and a self-healing mat. And then depending what sort of look you want, you can always paint this before you assemble it or afterwards. Okay, so then we can get rid of that. Then we've got this bit to go. Now we can see here that we need to trim this off. So again, I'm just going to double check that I'm happy. Line it up. That I'm happy that that will sit inside there. You know what they say, measure twice, cut once. Again, great in theory, not always the best in practice. Now again, you can always paint over that, or you can actually have that as a feature if you like. But what I'm going to do is have the plain outside. So what I'm going to do is use this fold and turn it over and give that a good press. Now that's going to want to naturally spring open. So once we've made it, we can then sit it under a heavy book or a book press overnight, and that will help flatten it out. Although you can see by this one that it still does sit up a little bit. But that's okay. I think that adds character. Now, again, let's just check. So we're happy with that. We can see where we want it. So now we're going to use our hole punch again and then do the same on the cover. So lining it up this way, lining it up this way. Actually, it might almost be easier with a single hole punch, but the reason I like doing it with the two is that we know that the spacing will be right. So even if it does move this way, from a design perspective, it gives us, we know the spacing is going to be right. I'm just going to do it a little bit lighter, smaller. There we go. So that is more of the effect I was after. So we can see that we know we've got that right spacing. We know that it's going to line up with our holes. Okay, how's everyone going? So we've got our A4 page that we've torn it in half and in half again and then folded to give us 4 pieces of paper to our signature. We then used our office punch to put the holes into our signature. We then cut our cover. This is from Cereal Box, but again, you can use whatever you've got. And done the same with the holes here. Okay, so now we're getting ready to bind it. And again, this is a really simple technique, and that's what we're going for here. So lining up the holes, and then we want to get our string or our ribbon. Now, rule of thumb, we need about 3 times the length of the spine. Now here I've done some little bit extra, so you can always add a little bit extra. We don't like wasting, but we also don't want to have it too short either. Okay, then we cut that. Okay, now if you want the tassels on the outside, we need the ends on the outside. So what we're going to do is line up our holes, and we know that the spacing's right because we've used the standard 2-hole punch. We can see that they're lined up. We put one end through there. That's the other thing about having a nice big hole, is that it's easy to thread. You could always punch holes with a needle, or just pierce holes, I guess we should say. Okay. Then on this side, we just want to tie a nice simple knot. Now again, I'm tying it in the middle. There's no reason why you couldn't. Oh, that might be an idea. Let's tie it a bit higher. So if we do that, we're going to just have to even up our string a bit. So if you decide you want the knot more at the top, all right, can you see that? The knot at the top, we can just adjust that. So we're going to do a little reef knot, which is left over right, and we want to pull it quite firm. And if any little ones are watching, you might need a little bit of help from a grown-up. And then we're going to do right over left. And our aim, of course, is to try and get that reasonable tightness. And there we go. We have a very simple cereal box book with a whole heap of pages in it. So like we said, you can paint the cover, you could collage over it. Stamping is probably going to take a little bit, but you could always stick a piece of paper in there as well. That's what they do with traditional bookmaking, is that you'd stick a piece inside there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's halfway. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pages in one small mini book. So how amazing is that? So do we have any questions? I can see we've got Rosa, we've got Wendy, we've got Robert and Joanne. Hello everyone. Val, Pauline, Diana, of course. Excellent. So it's fantastic to have you all with us today. Okay, so there you go, our simple book. So what I'll do now is show you the one that I've made previously. So exactly the same process, using the cereal box card as well, yet to paint that. So what I've done here is pulled out some cut out letters. I think they were Kaisercraft. I've printed a little photo of me, added a note. So a little bit of a junk journal. Again, little sticker here from Aldi. Keep an eye out when Aldi have their craft things next. Some little stickers. So definitely lots of room still to write and to journal. Can I show you the knot again, please? I'll do that in a minute, Joanne. Certainly can do that. Here I've got another photo. Here's my friend Lisa. She came to the Bendigo Craft Show at the start of May, and she made us t-shirts. Look at that. And we had matching t-shirts. How cool. So here I've printed some little photos of my cat. His name is Chandler Bing. also just happened to have a stamp with some paw prints, so I've added those in, stuck those in with a glue stick. Here I've just used that little bit of the washi tape and actually put it over the edge and created a bit of a tab. I've added a few more of those letters and another photo of me with some washi tape and a little bit of border with a black marker. Again, some leftover letters, and I've got a few little farm animals, so something there to colour in, to add a little bit too. A few more stickers. Another big die cut that I've stuck in with glue stick. And then a few photos I've taken of some little flowers in the garden. Okay, so to do the knot again, so the other thing I've just done here is added some beads on as well. I'm sure many of us have got a whole heap of beads. You could also add buttons, and you might just need to add and get a needle if they're quite small to thread. That took a little bit of patience. So again, the knot, simple reef knot. I can tie another one over here. So right over left and around, and then left over right. And look, if it turns out to be a granny knot, it's not the end of the world either. But a nice simple knot, and the challenge is just to make sure that it's firm enough. And look, if you're not happy with it, untie it and start again. Give it another go. So any other questions? Claire says it's a fun project. Well, perfect for your handbag. Exactly. If you wanted to just have it in there, if you're adding notes or doing a small sketchbook, if you wanted to do more drawing, you could certainly use watercolor paper or something a little bit heavier. Like I said, this is about 90, 100 GSM with a slight sheen on it that we use for gel printing. But again, whatever you've got, that's the whole point with crafting. We want to be able to use what we've got and make sure that we have fun with it as well. Hey, Libby, thanks for joining us. Fantastic. So I hope that's given you some ideas. I hope that's taken the pressure off from making your own books. Because like we said, it's so simple to come and just get a few pages, do something. This is a nice, safe way of using this. Previously, we did the plant foot binding, which is a little bit more complex and needs something sharp to poke through. If you've got a crocodile or a more of a fancy hole punch, you could certainly use that as well. What we're just trying to do is get our pages, some sort of bound. You could use ribbon, you could use all sorts of things, whatever you've got. That's the whole point. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so if there's no questions, I think we'll leave it there. So thank you all for joining us at Craft with Us. I hope you've had a chance to get a few things out, or at least get that imagination moving and thinking of some of the things that you can do when you next sit down. Hi, Beryl. So I hope you do have a chance to get some crafty things out over the next few days. Give this a go. If you want to share any of the creations that you do, it'd be great for you to pop over to our crafting group, Papercraft Posse, right here on Facebook. All you have to do is answer a couple of simple questions to join up, and there we've got many crafters there that really love sharing things, are happy to offer feedback, really happy to help out if you're looking for something, or if you've bought something you don't quite know how to use it or how to get the best out of it, then the Papercraft Posse group is definitely the place to be, where we can help you out. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you create. Of course, make sure that you leave a comment so that we know that you're here. Give us a like. Share us with your crafty friends. And if you need to know what else is going on, head over to the From Picture to Page Facebook page, or of course our website, FromPictureToPageAndBeyond.com.au, where all the week's events will unravel. So this is Michelle Brown signing off. I hope you have a crafty day.